I'm Max Grinnell, Chicago author and historian. For the Chicago Neighborhoods Beyond Borders tours, we're going to take you through many of Chicago's fabulous corners. In the distance behind me, you can see the Loop and beyond. We'll head over to the Loop to talk about how immigrants and new arrivals changed that neighborhood with their commercial enterprises. We'll also spend time in Little Italy, Pilsen, Wicker Park, and Lincoln Square. Along the way, we'll hear from locals as they tell us a little bit about their communities, their businesses, their public spaces, and what the experience of being a new arrival or an immigrant means to them. Good morning, and I'm standing here in the southwestern corner of Grant Park. If you listen carefully in the distance, you'll be able to hear people enjoying the skate park, children playing, and if you listen real carefully, you'll be able to hear the sounds of the nearby commuter rail. Commuter rail traffic is a lot different than it was when the Illinois Central Station was built. You might be asking yourself, what was the Illinois Central Station? Behind me, you can find what remains of this once grand structure. Built in 1893 to accommodate the massive crowds for the World's Columbian Exposition in Jackson Park, this tremendous Romanesque building featured the world's largest train shed. It was an elaborate edifice designed to celebrate the Illinois Central Railroad and also to bring people together. While the building was torn down in 1974, the Illinois Central Station served a key role in accommodating and welcoming new arrivals to the city of Chicago. Many of those Pullman porters who worked on Illinois Central trains took that newspaper to the South, where family members passed the Chicago Defender around to learn about new opportunities and a way to escape the problems in the American South. I pick up my life and take it with me, and I put it down in Chicago, Detroit, Buffalo, Scranton, any place that is north and east, and not Dixie. I pick up my life and take it on the train to Los Angeles, Bakersfield, Seattle, Oakland, Salt Lake, any place that is north and west and not south. I am fed up with Jim Crow laws, people who are cruel and afraid, who lynch and run, who are scared of me and me of them. I pick up my life and take it away. On a one-way ticket, gone up north, gone out west, gone. I'm walking along the 11th Street Bridge over the rail yard here in the South Loop. South of here, you would find new arrivals to Chicago would be making their way to the Illinois Central Station. For decades, many people arrived via train from the deep south to an unfamiliar situation. Looking north, across the rail yard, across Grant Park, and into those buildings that they would have seen over a century ago. The Congress Hotel, the Blackstone Hotel, and other monumental structures that constitutes the Michigan Avenue facade. Thousands upon thousands of people navigating these buildings, making their way through the Loop on Michigan Avenue, and one would find themselves as a stranger, or perhaps they had been able to find comfort in a smaller community in the South. And of course, there were the other aspects of everyday life to deal with as well. Some of these things would take weeks, some of them would take months, and some of them would take a lifetime to navigate the economic, cultural, and social landscape of Chicago. Next, we're going to take a walk into the Loop and talk a little bit about what the world that these new arrivals would find themselves in. Railroad stations are an important part of Chicago's history. The oldest station in the Loop is Dearborn Station, which we are standing in front of right now. It was finished in 1885 and was meant to give the Chicago and Western Indiana a grand home right in the middle of a rapidly growing city. While today the station is not used for passenger rail service, it does have an important role to play in the broader history of new arrivals to the city of Chicago. There's always been a lot of commercial and other activity associated with the freight around the train station, and a great commercial district grew up around it, known as Printers Row. Printers Row is also the home to many German and Irish immigrants who had been trained in printmaking, typesetting, and other publishing arts. So it was also a home for many new arrivals to find work close to the center of the city. Today, if you come to visit Dearborn Station, you'll find the Jazz Showcase, a popular restaurant, and a number of other small businesses. Within 5 minutes, one can find 3 of Chicago's grandest railroad stations. Grand Central Terminal, which is right over here next to me, you would find the Baltimore and Ohio's operations in the city of Chicago. Taken together, these 3 impressive edifices constituted a gathering place and a place for new Chicagoans to begin to experience this city. They were like many cities themselves, many with dining rooms, checked baggage facilities, other entertainments, and for places to spend time either between trains or navigating their way through a new city. Our next stop will be the Quincy L station in the Loop. We're going to head on over there and talk about how new arrivals became accustomed both to taking the elevated trains and this new experience as they made their way through Chicago. We're standing in front of the Quincy L station here in the Loop. Opened in 1897, it remains one of the oldest elevated stations in the entire system. For over a century, thousands of people have gotten on here and left to jobs, work, and to recreate in the Loop. Many of those people, you'll not be surprised to learn, have been immigrants. And if you think about how people experience cities, think about cities, and use cities, getting on mass transit is one of those crucial experiences. And certainly for many new arrivals, whether they're coming from the American South, whether they're coming from Poland, navigating this inherently urban phenomenon has always been somewhat of a challenge. In 1915, there were a number of guidebooks published specifically for immigrants about what to do and not to do on the elevated system. One of the guidelines went as follows: do not talk to strangers, for they may wish to do you harm. A couple of them are as follows, and it may be something to think about in our own time. Do not attempt to evade paying the fare. Part of your duty as a citizen is to pay the fare. And the last one, the one that I think you might find the most interesting, is the following. Always remember for gentlemen to stand up if a woman is waiting. And these are some of the rules to get new arrivals to the city of Chicago acclimated to the do's and don'ts of mass transit. Friends, we're going to be leaving the Quincy L stop and making our way over to Amtrak's Union Station. Finished in 1925, it was the last of the major loop stations to be finished, and it remains a place for new arrivals to Chicago to enter every single day. We're standing here in front of Chicago's Union Station, here at the corner of Canal and Adams in the West Loop neighborhood. Finished in 1925, Union Station was the last major passenger railroad station completed in the city of Chicago. As you can tell by its Beaux-Arts architecture and grand interior spaces, it was meant to be a public gathering space for people from near and far. And certainly immigrants and migrants to the city are part of that story. One of the pathways to middle-class life in 20th century America for a lot of African Americans was working on board as a Pullman porter. And it was my good fortune to work with a lot of sons and daughters of Pullman porter when I myself worked for Amtrak for a number of years as a waiter. So that's certainly an important part of this story as we think about Union Station today. If you walk inside, you make your way down trackside, you can catch a train to Michigan, you can catch a train to the West Coast, you can take a train to Seattle, Washington. All directions lead away from Union Station. And interesting enough, Union Station, the plan for the entire station was initially laid out in Burnham's plan of 1909. Now this is by no means the first station on this site. This is actually the fourth passenger terminal to exist on this very block. And it's certainly an important part of the city's cultural and social history today. They're doing a lot of work right now in the Great Hall to transform a site that was devastated by a fire in 1980. And as hopefully people will continue to turn to intercity rail as an option to driving, the hope is that Chicago Union Station will continue to be a hub of activity into the 21st century.